Hey everyone, my name is Jen Delaney. You might recognize me as Freedom and Feathers, and today we're going to talk about stringing your bow and putting on nocking points. So before we begin, there are some things that you're going to need. First, a bow square, T-square. You're going to need nocking pliers, nocking points, as well as a bowstring. So for your actual string, first you're going to want to check out the length of your bow. So if you don't know it, somewhere on your bow, for example, ammo 58 is going to indicate the length of your bow. When you're getting your bowstring, you'll see on the actual packages more often than not where it says ammo 58. Just so you know, the length of the string is actually going to be 4 inches shorter for a recurve bow. So this string is actually 54 inches. For a long bow, typically it's 3 inches shorter. And when you string your bow, you're going to want to put twists in it to make sure it meets the recommended brace height. So what you'll do then is Google brace height for bear grizzly. And for example, my range is 7.5 to 8.5 inches. So I'll go ahead and put my string on, and from the bottom, I'll either add twist or take away to ensure that when I get my bow square, from the nock to the point where it hits the string, I want to make sure that's within that 7.5 to 8.5 range. So in this case, we're just shy of 8, so we're good to go. So from there, the next step is nocking points. So again, take your bow square, go ahead and gently clip it onto your string. So you're going to want it just so it's gently resting on the shelf. And from there, you're going to take your nocking point, and I typically like to start, if you look at the bottom of the bow square, there's always going to be marks. I like to start 1/4 to 1/2 above center, just to get a feel for where it's shooting at. So then you'll take your pliers and very carefully put it on the string. Something that I do, I just find it helpful, but not recommended if it's, not something you want to do, but I like to actually put my arrow on it, kind of like flip it like this, and I'll actually even turn it a little bit to the side and just make sure it's straight. So in this case, it looks good. I'll go ahead and take my square off, my string, take off my arrow. I'll take the pliers and tighten it just a little bit more. You want to be gentle with it because you don't want to injure the string. And then you're good to go. So remember that stringing your bow is a process. What you're going to do now is you'll take your bow and you'll shoot a few arrows. What you're going to be checking for is to see whether or not the arrow is straight coming off the string, knock high, or knock low. And what I mean by that is if you watch an arrow when it shoots, sometimes you'll see it kick up or kick down before it levels off to be straight. What that means is that your nocking point is either too high or too low, and you'll want to come back, put your bow square back on, and get your pliers and just very gently move it up or down based on whether or not your arrows knock high or knock low. So once you do that, you'll go back and try a couple more arrows, see how it's shooting, come back and adjust, and keep going until you have an arrow that's flying straight. At that point, what I like to do is I actually do add another knock right below, so I have the 2 nocking points between my arrow, but that is a personal preference. But I do hope this helped. Please be sure to subscribe, and if you have any questions, try to leave them in the comments, and I'll try to get to them next week. So thanks, everyone.